He was just up like David in the Bible. Don't you think that is funny? David used to throw rocks too. David, he threw rocks and killed a giant named Goliath. But Tommy, he just made bumps come up on your head. Hey, you know what? About 3 days ago, it was my mama's birthday. And you know what? I surprised her. Because I got up early in the morning and I sneaked in the kitchen and I made her breakfast. I made a cup of coffee because I know how to do that. You just fill up that cup thing with coffee and then you pour in a cup of water and when it comes out it's so black. And then I poured her a bowl of cereal but so I couldn't remember which was her bestest type. So I just poured in some Special K and some Captain Crunch with crunch berries and Cocoa Puffs. And then I couldn't reach the milk, so I just had to pour the Diet Coke in there. And then I take it into her room, and I open the door, and I turn on the light, and I said, surprise! And my mom, she sat straight up in that bed. And she said, Nellie, Ruth, it is 3:30 in the morning. And I said, ain't that a surprise? And she said, yes, it is. And so then I take through that tray, and I said, I made breakfast for you, and I almost didn't even make the MAIS. And then she tasted a sip of her coffee, and she really liked it because her eyes got this big. And she said, ooh. And then she took a bite of that cereal, and I know she liked it. I think she could taste that Diet Coke because she said, mmm. And then I said, ain't you going to drink the rest of your coffee because of the surprise? And then she was busy taking another sip, and that is when she seen it. She said, now, Ruth, what is this G.I. Joe man's doing in my cup of coffee? I said, I want to fix it like the man on the television said to fix it. And she said, what man? And I said, the man that said, the best part of waking up is soldiers in your blood. And then I had to get it to get that out with a spoon because I had to take it back to the playground because it wasn't mine. And hey, you know what? About 3 days ago, me and Tommy, we always walked to kindergarten together because he lived on one side of my house and then I lived in that house and then about 3 houses down in the church. And that's where we go to kindergartens. And so me and Tommy been walking with my mom every day, but then we got some big ideas. That we're too big of children that she don't need to walk with us no more. So we asked her if that would be fine if we will walk by ourselves. And she said she was just to be thinking about it. So we just keep asking her and 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 asking her. Finally she said, fine. But she said we got to promise that we would hang on to each other's hands. And me and Tommy said that would be fine. And then we got to turn around and wave at her because she is going to be standing on the front yards. And then we would walk straight into the buildings. And so me and Tommy just said, but that'll be fine. And you know what? Everything been fine. Except me and Tommy been noticing something that we think is pretty strange. Because every time when we turn around to wave at my mom, I always notice that we got to look around Miss Shirley. Miss Shirley is my mom's bestest friend. And she was always walking right behind us, her and her daughter, Marcy Goodness. And so I think that was strange. So I decided I was just to ask my mom about that. And that is when we was having devotion. Devotion is when you read in the Bibles and stuff. And God will talk to you out of the devotions. And I was just to ask my mom about Miss Shirley, but all of a sudden God telling me what was going on. Because he said, surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life. So I might as well get used to it. Hey, you know what? Me and Tommy, since he asked you to come live in his heart, me and Tommy have been learning very important lessons at Sunday school and stuff. And see, we learned some very important lessons just this last Sunday. See what happened with this? I was coloring a picture because we have free time before the Sunday school class starts, and I was coloring a picture, and Tommy was playing with some cars and stuff. then the teacher came back and she said, "Now, Ruth, what are you drawing a picture of?" And I told her, "I'm drawing a picture of God." And she smiled and she said, "Now, Ruth, nobody knows what God looks like." And I said, "Well, we will in a minute." And then she just rolled her eyes like this. And she was walking away. And that is when Tommy had a wreck with his cars. And when he did, he said a very ugly words. And I just look at him. And I look at the teacher, but she didn't do nothing. I don't think she heard him. So I said, "Oh, well." And then he was playing with his cars again. And he had another wreck. And he said another ugly word. And I look at him. I look at the teacher. I don't think she heard what he said, so I tell her. And so then they called Tommy's dad up into the Sunday school room, and they had to go out in the hall and have a discussion. And when he got through discussing with his dad, he came back inside and he was crying his little eyes out. And finally, I waited till he got through crying, and I asked him why he had to say that ugly word. And you know what he said? He said he just won't see how it feels. I said, "How did it feel?" And he said, "Not so good." So that is a very important lesson. And I learned a very important lesson this week, but I'm mad at my Sunday school teacher about this. See, what happened was this. I was at my house eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with my mom in the kitchen. And we was talking and having a good time, but all of a sudden her clothes start beeping in the dryer, and she got to get them out and fold them up before they get all rinsed up and stuff. So then I didn't got nobody to talk to. And so I decided I would take my sandwich into my room and have a picnic with my dogs. And everything was fine. Except when I was walking by the television set, I got into an accident. Because I accidentally stick a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in the VCRs. I want to see if that thing would fit in there. And good news, it does. But so, no matter how many times that you mash that button, that peanut butter and jelly sandwich would not come back out there. And I look in there and I can see my sandwich in there, and I try to get it with my fingers, but my fingers is too short. So I said, "Oh well, I'm not that hungry anyway." So I just went to my room and I was playing with my dolls all afternoon, and everything was fine. But except when my dad got home, he decided he wanted to watch a VCR tape in the VCRs. And so he stick that tape in there, and he maced it, and that thing was not going there. And finally he maced it so hard that when it bounced off, and when it bounced off, you know what was on that thing? Peanut butter and jelly. And then he came in my room and he said, "Now, Ruth, I'm fixing to ask you a question. Did you stick a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in the VCRs?" And I was trying to think about what I was fixing to say. And then he said, "Before you answer me, little man," he called me little man sometimes. "Before you answer me, little man, let me tell you this. God sees everything that you do. And he hears everything that you say." So you think about that before you answer me this question. Did you stick a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in the VCRs? And I said, "Can I ask you 2 questions first?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Does God ever tell him anybody?" He said, "No." And I said, "Did you see me do it?" And he said, "No." So then I said, "So then